Alrighty, we got a clunking noise here in our 92 Yukon. We're taking a break from my Blazer work now to get this done, trying to get it sold, get it out of here. So we're going to diagnose the clunking noise. So first thing I usually check is... Alright, so with the wheels chalked and your vehicle in neutral, you wiggle stuff and move it. And you look for stuff, so... That's the clunking noise. There should be no movement right there. See how that moves in there? Alright, so what we're going to do is, since that slips and slides out of there, we're going to put a catch pan so that we catch any of the transmission fluid that comes out. But, wow, that exhaust is huge. And it's rubbing and banging on the floor right there. Maybe I'll try to bend that over to there. We'll see if it breaks off or not. We got a few rusty components under here. But anyway, the goal for... That's the old fuel line, it looks like. Okay, anyway, so what we're going to do, we're going to take these 4 bolts out right here. Make sure it is in neutral, though. If it's not in neutral, when you take these 4 bolts out, that thing's going to sling around and conk you in the head and crush your skull. So we're going to put a drain pan under here because fluid comes out, maybe. And then we're going to take these 4, probably 7/16 bolts out, okay? All right, so I got all 4 bolts out, and sometimes they just, you can just see how bad that U-joint is right there. But sometimes they don't come out too easy. I tried sticking a pry bar in there. I just need a bigger pry bar. But it's weird how rust decays and all that. But then sometimes it binds it in there. So I just got to get a bigger pry bar. Okay, so we got it out. This is what it looks like. This is what a bad U-joint looks like. That was... You couldn't have made it a 1/4 mile in this thing, I don't think. That's how it was sitting in there. So now we have to figure out how this one's held in here. There's 2 ways. There's one where you'll see the clips on the outside out here, and then there's one where you'll see the clips in here. You can barely see it, but there's a clip in there. So what we'll do is we'll clean this up, and we'll pop this clip off and this clip off, and then I'll show you what to do from there. But see, it started wearing the shaft down. But a clunking noise when you shift from reverse to drive, this is usually what it is. Okay, so I soaked this down with some PB Blaster. Sure would be nice to have a sponsor someday. Look at how good this PB Blaster works. It just automatic, you spray it on, it just falls right off, right? PB Blaster should be used in every shop. Okay, so what I did was I just took a little hammer, big hammer, punch. And you take it and you catch it right on the corner and you just hammer it off and these clips come off. Then you take both clips off. Okay, so one more hit and that fell out the bottom like that. Then once it's sitting like this, you'll beat this back through and come out, and then you can pull this out of the middle. So let's see here. Let's see if I can camera and hold this at the same time. Nope. Okay. So what you'll do is you'll just beat that back through. That setup won't go back through. So you just put more heat on there. More heat to get this outer joint expanded. Once this gets expanded, that'll slide right on through. Like that. A few cuss words later, and the bottom pops out. And then you just take it out like that. Then you want to take a little file, maybe a little one, and just kind of clean up them edges real well. It'd help if I put the camera on what I was going for. And then clean that up. Be careful because it's still hot, duh. and then get ready to put the new one in. Alright, so I got the new one here, and the new one is the wrong one because there's no clip here to fasten. Sometimes the U-joint's a little smaller and there's a recessed ring. That's too far down in though. But now I gotta go to the parts store, go get another one, because this doesn't have the ring. I saw in here first that it didn't have the clip, so I thought I was gonna have to use the old ones down there, but they don't have them, so I have to go to the parts store. I'll check the one in town here, see if I can try to get it. But always inspect the parts before you try to put them in. So now we can bring this one back. Alright, we're at the parts store. First thing, it's got the C-clip, so that's good. Second thing, it's got the notch right here. So we probably got the right one this time. Okay, back to the house. We're back at home. So this is the part where it can get a little bit tricky. What you want to do is pull the caps off. And you want to make sure, you know, that's what this is supposed to look like, all brand new. If you got any caps on the end of here when you pull it off, just stick them back in there, pack it in with some little grease. So take all the caps off and try not to get too dirty here. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this this grease fitting, and I always put it towards the front because that way it's got more room. So very carefully try not to get anything dirty in there, okay? And then you're going to take one of the caps. Actually, I'm going to take this one from over here. Okay, so you want to take one of the caps and you want to put it back through the end right here. Okay, so when it's in this position right here, what you want to do then is very carefully pick this straight up. Okay, so it's back, so you got it back in there. Okay, and then you're going to want to take the hammer and tap it on the end. But you're going to want to hold this in there so none of those pins come out, okay? We're going to do that. Now remember, when you took the old one out, this one was flat against here. So you want to make sure that you don't try to get it as straight as possible. Keep things neat and clean. You also want to put a little bit of grease around that hole right there before you put that in. What you want to do is beat it down enough to where you can see that little rib again, because you're going to put the C-clips right here back in that hole. So now that that's in and in the right place, so you have to let that go. But see, when you push it back in, make sure that there's no gap right there, right where my thumbnail is. If one of them pins fell down and stuck at the end of the cap up here, that's where it's going to sit. So now what we got to do is turn the drive shaft the other way, and then I'll show you. Okay, so next what you're going to do is put this cap in here like that. And then what I like to do is kind of pull this U-joint up and split the difference so that when you're hammering this back down, it doesn't, none of the things come through. At this point, you want to keep moving it and wiggling it. If something goes wrong, then you can take it back apart now easier, because you may have to take it back apart. Let's see. I can't do this with one hand. So split the difference. And then keep tapping that back down, and then push it down, make sure that seals right, and make sure the other one seals right. But I'm going to wait and put that clip in just in case I need to do something different, okay? Hang on. I'll show you what's in there. So I put that clip back in there. Make sure that thing sits all the way. This has to be 100% perfect right now. And that is a little bit stiff, but it does move. If it was any stiffer than that, I'd have any questions about it. But notice I also took the caps off the end, because you don't want to be beating on this and have the caps fall down and lose control of them. Okay, so now that both caps are back on, you got to make sure they're both on. If you can't get one or the other on, take it all back apart and double check, make sure, because I've had those needles come down and sit in the bottom of the cap. So now we're going to go ahead. Now, a couple different things you can do. Pack it with a little bit more grease and put them back on. Make sure they stick in there really good. So that way, as you're wrestling the drive shaft underneath, that it doesn't, that, you know, nothing gets in there. If you have to, put the caps on, and then take a little bit of electrical tape and run around till you get down there if them caps keep falling off on you. And make sure this shaft stays real clean too, because this has to go back into the transmission in your fluid. So Okay, I'm going to get it back together and see what we got. Another thing you got to do is put them clips on right there, because it also holds it in place in there. You want zero movement in here. None. So then you put the cap back on and take it for a test drive. Test drive complete. Everything went good. So on to the next project.